Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 0043 of Gary's Glorious Golden Nuggets, where success always leaves clues. And today we are speaking with Phil Pelucha, who, ladies and gentlemen, holds a few titles as a podcaster. He's considered to be in the top 100 podcasters worldwide. He runs a podcasting empire, basically, with several podcasts, several organizations, big organizations seeking to get advertising on his network of podcasts. He's also producing hundreds of hours every month of business related items and content for podcasting. So without any further ado, let's just welcome Phil to the show. Welcome, Phil.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's really quite a pleasure to have you here. Now, you hail from Liverpool, is that correct?
I do indeed. My accent not as strong as it once was, but I had to develop that generic British accent so the rest of the world can understand what the hell I'm saying.
I've got to be really honest with you. You're about as close to a former professional football player as I've ever gotten.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was meant to be my career as far as I was concerned. So I started playing academy football at 6 or 7 years old. You know, I was set for the Premier League and then injuries held me back and still ended up playing professional football in Central Europe, in Hungary. And as far as I was concerned, my career was mapped out for me. I was going to play until my mid-30s. Then I was going to go and do my coaching badges and become a coach. And then as soon as I didn't want to coach anymore, I was going to become a pundit. So as far as I was concerned, that was my life mapped out until early 20s. I heard the words that nobody wants to hear, which is you can't play anymore because your shin bone has the consistency of dried spaghetti.
Yeah. Everything happens for a purpose, and for every purpose, there's a reason and a season. And so we're glad to have you here. So let me ask you, you're the podcaster. You really have been here for quite some time in the podcasting world. Podcasting really only started in about 2008. So let me ask you this. You've been doing this for around 12 years. What do you wish you had known before you had begun this journey into this digital world?
It's a really good question. I wish I had known that the money isn't in the audience, it's in the network. I'll elaborate on that. Right. So most people think that the money in podcast, in fact, most people think that the money in media, full stop, is in the audience. Right. That's why so many podcasters in particular fail, because they try and run it like it's a TV or radio show. And it's all about, I'm going to get X amount of viewers or listeners and subscribers. Then I'm going to sell sponsorship. Then I'm going to sell advertising. And they all try and run it that way. Right. And it's like having blinkers on. If that's the aim, you've missed the power and the point entirely. Right. It's the networking. Like, you and I have come from industries and generations where the golden handshake was key. You know, the whites of somebody's eyes. You do business with people that you like, right? You know, like, and trust people, and you make recommendations, and you see the same people doing business together over and over and over again because they've created that collaboration and that team network. I always say business is a team sport. Well, podcasting for me just became the way of generating that team. It was the way of me being able to identify the people who were really good at their bit, just as good at their bit as I am at mine. And then together we create this virtual team of people that can help each other's businesses to thrive, break into new markets. You know, I would have said traditionally, here's a great example. Traditionally, if you want to move into a new geographical market, you're going to need boots on the ground. You need to hire somebody who's already got a Rolodex or a good phone book in that area. And you're going to need to risk probably not making any money for 6 to 12 months just while you get broken into that market. Well, now as somebody who does it and teaches other people how to make money from markets they've never set foot inside. I mean, I make hundreds of thousands of dollars from places I've never been every single year by networking with people and linking up with already established audiences and collaborating. Yeah, I'm a big fan of using the power of the networking. The audience is a nice byproduct, but it is the byproduct.
Wow, that's quite powerful. Now, tell me more about your business, your networking, because really one of the things I discovered when I first came into this digital empire is the fact that being able to network is truly the job. It is a full-time job. The concept of going to a pub and having a few drinks with somebody wasn't quite networking, and you certainly can't do that here online. So tell us more.
So the thing with networking online is that it cuts out a lot of the fluff, right? Because you think about these like breakfast networking mornings. everybody turns up and they're all sat around a table and you all get X amount of minutes to pitch, right? And no one's listening. Everyone's just thinking about what it is they're going to say during their pitch. So everyone's ready to talk and nobody's ready to listen. Okay. So podcasting for me has been a great authentic way of getting to know people. And it's not only about the relationship that you and I have, for example, it's the audience that are listening as well. So if people are listening to this and they are resonating with what I'm saying, they're more likely to get in touch with me and have a conversation. Whereas if they don't resonate with what I'm saying, they're not going to contact me. And that's a good thing as well, because we've all worked with people that we really wish we hadn't bothered, that have looked at kind of what you do as a business and said, oh yeah, I like that, I'm going to buy it. And then they realize they don't like me, or they don't like you, or they don't like the whatever. Whereas this way, they now get to resonate with you before they ever buy. So I have a saying, which is your vibe attracts your tribe. And podcasting for me has been a phenomenal way of making sure that this is me planting my flag in the ground saying, this is my vibe, right? If you resonate with this, you and I are going to have a lot of fun together. If you think I'm an idiot and you don't resonate with this, for the love of God, don't work with me, because you're not going to enjoy working with me anymore than you're listening to the podcast.
I'm a huge believer in the law of attraction. And in a podcasting sense, you just told everybody how the law of attraction works. You got to have that vibration. You have to have that energy that people are attracted to and they want to be by. And you are right. This is a key to all business, is the fact that if people don't like you, most likely they won't buy from you. We only really want to buy from people that we like. We just buy for the guy we don't like if there's nobody else to go to and we're desperate. But
it's the other way as well. You only want to do business with people that you like.
Absolutely.
Right? Business is supposed to be fun. I mean, and it's not fun. Like, I love what I do because I love who I'm doing it for. I wouldn't feel the same way about my business if I disliked the businesses that I was trying to help. And it's funny that you mentioned the law of attraction, actually. So a few years ago, I actually started working with several people from The Secret movie. So you probably remember that movie.
Yes.
Law of Attraction movie, very successful. So the likes of Marie Diamond, Travis Fox, Doug Vermeer, and Bob Proctor, all of them I've had some varying degree of interaction with and work with over the past few years. And that, again, I met them through a podcast. I mean, that's why I started teaching people what I did. I mean, I was using this to grow my businesses. This wasn't really something I ever planned on sharing with anybody else at some point. But I almost got sick of giving the same answer over and over again. It was like, how did you get that deal with Microsoft? I met them on a podcast. It's like, how did you get that keynote speaking gig? Oh, yeah, I met them on a podcast. It's like, well, how did you meet that star or that movie person? Or how did you win that deal? There's only 10 of you in the business. How did you win that federation? It's like, oh, we met them on a podcast. And I got sick of giving the same answers. So I started just thinking, what? I'm going to teach people how to do this. I'm going to go and show people how to do this. And anybody who's ever worked in coaching will know that the very next question that comes once you teach someone how to do something is, can you do it for me? Which is very much where our business grew from. It was like, can you teach us that? And it was like, yeah, I'll teach you. And then they go, there's a lot of work involved here. Can you do it for us, please? And that's really where our business has grown to over the past, 6 or 7 years, but particularly the last 5 years have been a very exciting period for us.
So tell me, I mean, you've raised a question to my mind. I've got to ask you. I'm really sorry, Phil. But the question is, so you teach people how to do what you're doing to grow your network. And so you teach them how you do what you do. And then they come to you and say, okay, can you do that for me? Are you doing that for them, or are you leaving them saying, well, I taught you, now to go do it?
No, a bit of both, actually. So I kind of do a bit of a hybrid service, if I'm completely honest. So we're ranked as #1 in the world for podcast publicity for businesses. So it started off working with solopreneurs and coaches and really kind of working with people that were like me, that had found themselves in that position where they were really good at what they did. They were even getting referrals from their existing customers, but there were no inbound leads coming, right? Nobody knew that they existed. So nobody was making a beeline for them. So we were very good at putting people on the map and being that spotlight. But really where that's evolved over the past kind of 3 or 4 years has been doing more work with the investment community. So private equity, venture capitalists, investment banks, funds, you name it. And the reason for that is they're investing in businesses. Now, I like the ones that we work with. We're very picky about who we work with, but I like who we work with because they've got that corporate social responsibility aspect of what they do. They're trying to leave the world a better place than the one that they came into. It's all about transforming people's lives. And from my perspective, you know, they've got a portfolio of businesses that they believe meet that criteria. So this is to, you know, increase that fund so that we can help more businesses, to help the businesses, to put them on the map and be that stage and that spotlight. I mean, how many great business concepts have gone bust or not reached full potential because people didn't know that they existed? So we are that bit. We're the bit that says, great, we're going to show you how to leverage these opportunities, how to network with the right people and put a real spotlight and shine on what you're doing. And for me, it has to be that hybrid approach. Like, I never just want to do it for somebody. Like, I don't see the point of here's a fish, because next month you're going to come back to me and need another fish, right? So it has to be a case of, right, here's a fish. Here's how you fill it and cook the fish. Now I'm going to do it for you so you can eat, but I'm also going to show you how to go fishing so that we can do this together next month.
That's a great plan.
And it has to be that way. It has to be that way. Otherwise, you know, people won't ever grow without me. And at some point, I want them to outgrow what we're doing. That sounds like a weird thing for a business owner to say, but you know, I say that we have three main focus, right? Helping you win more market share, more media coverage, and find the right funding introduction.
Right.
Well, if I'm doing my job properly, at some point you're going to have loads of market share, be getting organic media coverage, and already have the right funding introductions. So at that point, I want you to fly the nest, you know, but I want you to do so in the knowledge that you know how to go and conduct a media interview to get the most out of it, that you know how to continue to make sure that you're going to attract the right kind of networks, the right people to what you're doing, add those people to your business team, as you know, both internally and externally, get media coverage. And then if you need to generate more funds, now you know how to go and do it. I'm not going to achieve that objective if I'm just going to do all of that for you, because it means that every time you need more attention, you're going to have to come back to me. And that's not what I'm all about.
One of the things I will say is, in the beginning of this, you were talking about your football career and how you wanted to move up and getting your coaching move forward. So what you have basically done in the last few minutes is you've informed that I have a winning mindset. I know how to win because I've won most of my life, and I've had a few setbacks, but I'm still a winner. And I will coach people and show them how they can win just the way I've been winning. Hopefully they get well enough that they can go farm off their own team, become a coach someplace else. Yeah. And to me, that's just a real winning formula that you have for a business model.
I'd like to think so. So winning for me is a mindset. I'm a big believer in one world-class player will always be beaten by a team of good players who have good chemistry and work together. So, you know, it doesn't matter how good you are at what you do. No man is an island, right? We've all made that mistake when we first started. I mean, I remember sitting watching YouTube videos, trying to watch like a 4-hour-long YouTube video on how to make a WordPress site. I got about halfway through it and was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know how to make a WordPress site. So what I did instead was what I've done for most of my career, which is if I didn't have the money to do something, I'd trade. So I would contact a couple of web developers who are really good at websites, and I say, look, I'm looking to build a website that looks like this, this, and this, but I haven't got the cash to do it. But I'm really good at this bit. I can put you on the map and get you more attention. And then what's going to happen from there is, instead of having just my deal, just that one deal paying you money, you could potentially win 10, 20, 30 deals off the publicity that I get you. So they'd be like, well, that's fine. I've got some templates we can use anyway. This is easy. It's not much work for me. Do me a video testimonial, do me a review. And many of these people, even to this day, we've grown together. So we refer business each other's way. Never underestimate the power of collaboration in business. I mean, like, the amount of businesses that we have affiliates with and that they have affiliates with us is unbelievable. We're very selective. Once you find a good business and good people, being a connector in business is one of the greatest things that you can do. And it's very difficult to charge for that. In fact, I wouldn't even know how you'd start to charge for that. But what happens instead is you get good karma, you get good relationships, people refer business back to you, and it just becomes this whole great big ecosystem of people referring business in each other's directions. And I love that.
See, I think one of the big myths about people coming in on the digital universe these days is they're solo entrepreneurs. They're going to do it all by themselves. They don't need anybody. But the key to success is actually collaboration, getting the resources you need from other people, to voluntarily assist you as you voluntarily assist them with whatever skills, services that are of equal benefit. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's
Well,
the
look,
way it's got to be.
take it back to the football, right? You can say I'm a world-class striker. Well, I can't defend. I can't cross myself the ball, and I'm not going to drop back into midfield and win possession. I don't know how to do that. What I know how to do is stand in the box and score the goals. So who's going to put the ball in the box? Because I can't. I need to stand here and score the goals. So I need a winger. But that winger needs a central defensive midfielder who's going to win back possession in midfield. And if it gets past them, you need some defenders there and a good goalkeeper. That's how you build a team. You can't just do this by yourself. It's not possible. And many people have gone broke trying. And actually, more importantly than that, people sacrifice their life, right? So I wouldn't usually be this open, but let me kind of give you an example. There are people who are, and I can say this because I was one of them, right? And it took me a while to figure out what I was doing wrong. And when I figured it out, it's been a game changer ever since. So there are people who are sacrificing their relationships, their health, their time. You know, they're saying things like, you know, I'll work 20-hour days to get where I need to be 6-7 days a week, because when I get to this point, that's when I'll relax. And it's like, no, you won't, because that's what you've just sent out to the universe, that's what's going to happen, right? You've just made your own bed, and now you got to lie in it, right? I had a financial target at one point. It was probably about 10 years ago. And I wanted to get to $1 million as a consultancy practice. It nearly killed me. I was so overweight. I was unhealthy. My relationship was in the toilet with my wife. I hardly ever spent any time with her. I was so stressed out. In fact, I'll be really honest. I had a cannabis addiction, probably about £100 a day addiction. I was just high my entire life just because I was so stressed out, just trying to get myself out of this mess. I kept going, and I gave myself a stress-induced appendix rupture, so I had to go in for emergency surgery. I was supposed to be in hospital for 3 days. 12 hours after the operation, I discharged myself and went to a business meeting. Like, I was an idiot, right? An absolute idiot. And I did that to myself by trying to be all of those things to all people, by trying to do it all myself. We have a multi-million-dollar business. I work 4 days a week. I take every Wednesday off and every weekend off religiously. I have set times. I am one of these people who, if I set an alarm in the morning, I have a really bad night's sleep, because I wake up every hour to check how long I've got left to sleep until the alarm goes off, which is really annoying, right? So now I don't schedule any meetings before 11 a.m. in the morning, so I can wake up whenever I want to wake up. I will not set an alarm. I just won't. When I'm organizing flights, I won't ever book them for a morning flight, because I don't want to wake up early. I'll wake up when my body tells me it's time to wake up. If that's 6-7 a.m., great. If that's 10:30 in the morning, that's what my body needed, so I'm going to trust it. As I said earlier, big Liverpool fan. Liverpool is the one time, doesn't matter when that game is, there is no work happening during that game. I will take it off and I will watch the game. And I have a very healthy, happy life. I have a great team of people around me who also earn a great living and love what they do. And our customers love us for the transformational aspect we have on their lives and their business. And we've achieved this by being a good team. We are a very, very good team, not just the people internally, but our external partners and members of this team as well. And what does every good team need? A good coach, a good mentor. So it's about finding mentors in your life who can help you get to that next level. So this is not a case of, you know, sitting in your kitchen, head in your hands going, how am I going to figure this situation out? Well, here's a clue for you. If you knew the answer, you'd already be doing it. So don't sit there with a pen and paper, racking your brains going, what am I going to do? Go and talk to people. You'll soon find out what you're supposed to do, because believe it or not, someone else has already been there, done that, wore the t-shirt. And the amount of times you have a conversation with somebody and they go, oh, I know how you do that. You just do this, this, and this. And you go, why didn't I think of that? So save yourself the time, save yourself the heartache, and just figure out what it is that you're best at. Raise the bar and say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep perfecting this bit, and then surround yourself with people who are equally as good at their part. That's how winning's done.
Ladies and gentlemen, Phil has given you so many golden nuggets. Incredible amount. This man is so successful in his life, and he has just given you so many clues. You could sink a battleship with as much gold nuggets he's tossed out. I don't mean to just, butter you up one side or the other. The truth of the matter is you give a lot of really good information. And there's only one point that I'd like to give, because, everybody kind of mentors, everybody kind of coaches in this field. If you're like 2 weeks further down than somebody else, you can certainly help the guy behind you who hasn't figured out something. And one of the things that I often find is when people come to me and say, I don't know what I should be doing next, if you start to help them pick their own brain, they tell you exactly what they need to do next, and they know what they need to do next. It's just that they have that fear factor. They're kind of afraid to step out of the shell because that's out of their comfort zone. How do you help people there to get outside of that comfort zone?
There's probably two things I would say there. So number one is when people come to me and say they don't know what they should do next, I often get them into podcasts, either listening or guesting. Because the thing is, like, this is where your podcast comes in, right? So there's two sides to podcasting. There's hosting is about networking and about learning, right? Because you get to listen to golden nuggets. Your job as the host is to extract those golden nuggets so that you and the audience are growing and learning from it. Appearing as a guest on other people's podcasts are about credibility and about sales. So if you don't know what it is you want to do right now, being a podcast host is a great place to start because you get to interview people in your industry, right? So if you know, I want to be in this industry because that's where I spend my life. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Go and ask them. Go and talk to people. What's keeping you awake at night at the moment? What's the big things that are happening in the industry that are interesting to you? And the amount of money-making business opportunities that will open themselves up to you are unbelievable, right? The other thing I would say is that fear is extremely isolated. It's just your fear. It's not tangible. It doesn't exist, right? And there's two great examples of that. One is people, remember when many solopreneurs will have heard this, right? And you'll hear this time and again. People were like, you should go and get a real job. But when you first leave, everyone's, aren't you scared? You're not going to have a salary anymore? It's like, isn't that risky? And it's like, no. Right? Let me tell you why that's nonsense, right? It's nonsense because when you're employed, you have a salary, right? But you've only got one of them. So if that company goes bust, you're in trouble, right? As a solopreneur, as a self-employed person, you can have 5, 10, 15, 20 clients, all high ticket, all at the same time. If you lose one of them, you just go and get another one. It really doesn't hurt you all that much, right? You lose that one salary you've got, you've put all your eggs in one basket and it's now gone. That's risky. So actually being a solopreneur, being an entrepreneur, to me, logically seems a lot less risky than being an employee is the first thing I'd say. The second thing I'd say is most of the time it's just a paradox that you've got built up in your mind that doesn't actually exist in the real world. I'll share a personal example of that I had, right? We had a service that was about $3,000 and I was really struggling to sell it. It's going back a good few years now. I was really struggling to sell it. And I kept adding more and more and more value to it. And well, maybe we'll throw in this as well then. And then eventually I caught it with this guy and he's still one of my mentors to this day. In fact, he's one of the billionaires who Billionaires in Boxers kind of was inspired by. He said, oh, you really turn me off when you talk about this stuff. And I was like, why? And he's like, well, two reasons. Number one, you got to stop talking about money because successful people don't talk about money. We don't even think in that frequency. Right. And I was like, okay. And I can elaborate on that if you like. But the second point he said was, I don't believe that you can do what you say you can, because if you could, there's no way you'd be charging that amount of money. And I was like, but I really can. He's like, then why on earth are you charging $3,000? And I was like, because no one's even buying it at $3,000. He's like, that's because all the people who could afford your services don't believe that you'd be prepared to sell it for $3,000. Stick the price up to $10,000 and see what happens. I thought, this guy is nuts. He's nuts. Right? I can't sell it at $3,000. How am I going to sell it at $10,000? Right? And then about 2 days later, I still hadn't done it. And he came back to me and he went, you've still not done it? I said, no, because I'm nervous, right? I'm scared. I don't think this is going to work. And he's like, okay, I'll tell you what, don't put it up to $10,000. Put it up to $15,000. And I was like, what? $15,000. He said, because you would have needed 5 sales like that to make one of your normal package to make $15,000. Now you just need one. I'm going to try it for 4 weeks and then I'm going to give up. And that was my attitude. Even before I'd started, this is going to fail. It's not going to work. This is a really bad idea. So I did it, put it up to $15,000. I made $30,000 worth of sales in the first week. 2 sales, 1 week. And the reason was, and let me tell you something. That person who I was trying to get to spend $3,000 with me, they were saying stuff like, can we pay it off over a series of months? I just want to confirm the transformational aspect this is going to have. Is it going to give me this? Can you guarantee this? Can I get my money back if I don't guarantee this? $15,000, guys. Text message the next day. Money sent, Phil. See you Monday. It was like nothing. It was like, this is so easy. Like, why haven't I been doing this for years? And what it was, my fear of no one's going to pay this was actually turning off the people who were more than happy to pay for my services.
I think there's a real lesson there because a lot of people, especially if they are trying to produce an online course or something, they're way underselling the item. And because they tend to attract the guys that want the course, download it, and then immediately go back and say, I want a refund because it's not what I thought I was buying, versus the guy who pays 10 times as much and says, great course, glad I bought it.
It's the perception of what you do, right? And perception is such a key thing in business. And here's just a great example that we can all relate to. If I say to you right now, a $1 burger, you've got an idea of what that $1 burger is going to taste like. But if I say to you a $20 burger, how much better does that burger taste than the $1 burger? So what a lot of people are doing is they're creating a $20 burger and trying to sell it for $1 because they're going, well, I'm new. I need to sell like 100 of these at $1 and then I'll put my prices up. Here's a big lesson that I would love to share with your audience. It's always easier to go down than it is to go up. Okay, so if you start pricing your course at 20,000 and realize that people are only prepared to pay 15,000 for it, you can take it to 15,000 and now they're buying it and feel like they're getting a bargain. But if you start at $1,500, how on earth are you ever going to get it to 15 grand?
Point well taken, and a good lesson for everybody. You're a fascinating guy, Phil. How's the best way for people to get in contact with you if they're so inclined?
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate that. So what I would say is, for those of you who've resonated with this, if you're at that stage that you would like more market share, more media coverage, or even to attract the right funding, there's probably a couple of things that you can do here. It's not all the high price stuff, so don't freak out at that point. We've got group training that we do for $1,000 for our 4-week program, and we've got solopreneur starter packs at $1,500, and we've got medium-sized business starter packs at $3K. So what we'll do is we'll put a link in the show notes below to how you get in touch with us for our starter packs on the website. Go and check it out, see the custom testimonials, see the kind of stuff we do. And more importantly, if this is resonating with you, come and book in a call and have a conversation with us. You'll be surprised where it takes you.
Thank you so much. Phil, I always give everybody 2 minutes to say whatever's on their heart. Doesn't necessarily have to be business, but just your time's up. You just go for it.
You know what? Business is a team sport is the first thing I'd say. So definitely go out there and start meeting your team. If you feel like there's gaps in your business right now that you're struggling to fill, you're probably not the person to fill it. Right. So go and find the people that are. And this is a big one for me, and one that I really hope that people take to heart. Right. So many people try and make logical decisions in business. I don't make any logical decisions in business at all. Most of the time, I will meditate on something and see how it feels. And I will go with what feels best. It's when I sold my businesses because it felt like the right time. I exited them when it felt like the right time. I added products because it felt like the right time. Feeling and intuition in business are your most powerful tools. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Don't let your logic talk you into, but I need the money. I promise you, say no to it and the universe will take good care of you.
You are just a literal gold mine. You're like the goose dropping golden eggs everywhere. It's just amazing. Really amazing. I really appreciate everything you've said. I am so sorry that I don't have more time. You know, I'd love to schedule again for another episode.
Because we should do it. We could go full Joe Rogan, you and I, couldn't we?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, you just come with so much to put on the table. It's just amazing. So I would love to schedule you again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to conclude this episode of Gary's Glorious Golden Nuggets. I thank you for attending. If you're new to the podcast, please subscribe. If you really like what you've heard today and think you know somebody who might want to hear it, go ahead and please forward it on to them. Let them listen to the podcast and hear the value of what has been presented today. And if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, just go ahead and subscribe. Click the bell a couple of times to make sure that whenever we get a new podcast on there, you can have a copy of it and notify right away that it's there. Other than that, we will catch you on the next podcast in a couple of days. Thank you so much.